Gordon Gilchrist of Wainwright, Alberta gets a lot of enjoyment from his collection of classic John Deere tractors. Right now he's on a 1959 330 utility model, while his friend Lon Chilson of nearby Hardisty drives a 435 diesel built around the same time. Gilchrist grew up in Ontario but got interested in green tractors after moving west.
You know, when you farm with horses back in Ontario, you see a tractor, you sort of rouses your interest a little. And I come out here, like I said, in '52 and worked for a farmer, and he had a John Deere Model R. And of course, that's when you're used to farming with horses, that looked like almost like a locomotive. And I always liked that two-cylinder stuff, you know.
Gilchrist's collection includes about 85 John Deere tractors, ranging from the mid-1920s to the mid-60s. His oldest tractor is this rare 1925D with a spoked flywheel. The Spoker Ds are so hard to find because John Deere switched to a solid flywheel after the spoke design turned out to be quite dangerous.
The cast back there was so porous, apparently it'd fly apart, and so they quit putting the spoke on, and the spoke flywheel put a solid one on. And I think probably middle of 1926.
For a tractor to be an authentic Spoker D, it needs to have 12 spokes per wheel, like this one, since John Deere added extra spokes to the wheels in the late 1920s. The Ds were available with an injector system to inject water into the cylinder head, which came in handy for Lon Chilson when he was breaking virgin prairie as a youngster.
A two-bottom 16-inch plow, breaking plow, was a good load for it. And when you started up a hill, it would just run out of power. And if you give it a little water, it brings up the compression, and it had enough power then.
At the time of our visit, Gilchrist estimated an authentic restored Spoker D like this one could sell for up to $30,000 US. His collection also includes a pair of A's from the early 1950s. They're quite similar, but the newer one has improved steering from the older version.
There's a straight post, and it's like the wheels are attached to that post, and that was a lot of them in that era had that kind of a setup. But if you ever hit a rock with either one of those wheels, it would jerk the steering wheel out of your hand or take your fingers off almost. So, you know, John Deere being the up-and-coming outfit they are, they said, we'll solve that problem. So they put up what they called in the newer model a roll-o-matic, and one wheel to go up and the other would stay in the ground, so you had better control of the steering. And that saved a lot of sore fingers and thumbs, I think.
Another rare tractor in the Gilchrist collection is this John Deere 80, mainly because they were built only in 1955. It starts on a gas engine, which then turns over the diesel engine to get it started. The starter engine turned out to be nearly as costly to rebuild as the diesel engine.
Yes, very close, yeah. Crankshaft in there that long, it's $995 for the crankshaft.
From 1956 to 1958, John Deere built the 20 series tractors, which are well represented in Gilchrist's collection. The 720 came out with around 55 to 60 horsepower.
This is the diesel here, and this is the gas. Now, most of the 720s were diesel in this country, and 720 gas, they didn't build a lot of these, especially with, well, they built thousands of them, but not with a heavy axle. And they tell me they built about 420 of the 720s with the heavy axle, standard axle.
The 320 was quite a bit smaller with around 20 horsepower. This one is rare because of its angled steering wheel, since most of the 20 series came with the straight up and down steering wheel.
This is a late 320, and so they changed it to a slant steering wheel. And the 330s have slant steering wheels also.
Following the 20s, John Deere built the 30 series tractors in 1959 and 60. Gilchrist paid $28,000 for this rare 330 utility gas tractor he found near his home at Owen Sound, Ontario in 2002. It has around 24 horsepower and was a welcome addition to his collection.
And the fellow that owned this tractor, his name is George Cool, and we'd go visit him. He bought my dad's farm, and this little tractor was done some work on that farm, I'm sure.
Gilchrist also has the taller 330 Standard with adjustable front axle. More of these were made than the utility model, so they're not as hard to find. He bought this tractor for $14,000 at a sale near Moosomin, Saskatchewan in the mid-1990s.
And the feature of the sale was a Spoker D and this here 330. And they come, like Moosomin's fairly close to the U.S. border, and a huge sale. A lot of Americans come up, but the Spoker never showed up, and they were some upset. But I was glad this was there, yeah. And I love the Americans, and I had to bid against them to get this, but that was fun.
Another rare 30 series tractor in this lineup is the 730 gas with a standard front axle. Gilchrist told us he had to do some wheeling and dealing to acquire this tractor from a St. Paul, Alberta farmer.
He said, tell you what, get me a good 30-20 gas, and I'll trade you. So anyway, I started looking for 30-20, found one down in Saskatchewan at a dealer's place, and went down and picked it up and brought it home and polished it up, and it run good. So they're not easy to find either, a good 30-20 gas, but I thought I'll find a 30-20 gas a lot easier than I find a 730 gas. So we traded them, and I brought it home, painted it up, and it was just in excellent shape.
The most powerful tractor in the 30 series is the 830, which has around 70 horsepower. This 830 diesel was in good shape when Gilchrist acquired it, but he put on new rubber to give it better traction because he likes to take it in tractor pulls.
So I was having trouble front end coming up, and they shut you down after about 6-8 inches because you can't steer them, you see. So that, well, I'll get a little bracket made, and I had 10 of those 50-pound weights on, and that didn't do much good. And so then I put some heavier weights on, and had about 14 of those heavy weights at about 100 pounds apiece. That stopped from coming up.
The 30 series was the last of John Deere's two-cylinder tractors, which makes them even more desirable for collectors such as Gilchrist. He is grateful to his neighbors Harry and Jim Sparks for all their help with the restoration work on his many tractors.